In this tutorial I will show you how you can write equations in Word and in PowerPoint and use and write mathematical expressions. I will also shortly show how you can make a decent system sketch in PowerPoint where you include some mathematical expressions and then include these sketches or figures in your Word documentation. So Word and the PowerPoint have a great editor for writing equations, formulas or other mathematical expressions. So make sure to use that editor when creating your equations, formulas or other mathematical expressions. So you can easily include these equations, etc. in your documents, or either in Word or in PowerPoint. So PowerPoint is also a great tool for making different types of sketches and figures, because as part of PowerPoint you have lots of predefined objects like circles, squares, rectangles, different types of arrows and different types of symbols that you can use in to make your sketches. And also typically these sketches may include some mathematical expressions. And also here you can use the formula editor in PowerPoint, and the formula editor in PowerPoint is the same as the formula editor in Word. So here you see a basic system sketch that has been made in PowerPoint. Here I use these different objects that is part of PowerPoint. You have different squares, rectangles, arrows, circles, etc. that you can use in addition to text. But also you can add mathematical expressions using the formula editor in PowerPoint. So you have different shapes, you have different icons, and you have the formula editor. So here is a basic sketch made with PowerPoint. Here I have some mathematical expressions, a formula, some mathematical expressions. Here I have not used the formula editor, while here I have used the formula editor. So you see the formula is how it should be, and also here F in and F out, looking much better when I use the formula editor to write these mathematical expressions. So make sure to use the equation editor in PowerPoint. So here I have a blank PowerPoint presentation opened. So let's see how we can use these built-in features in order to create sketches and mathematical formulas. So let's start with some here under Home. We have different objects we can use. We have a text box, rectangle, circles, different types of lines and arrows, etc. which we can use. Also here under Insert we have different types, the same shapes here. We have different types of icons that we can use. And also we have this formula editor where you can write the equations and mathematical expressions. So let's start with this bad example. I'm starting just using one of the shapes here. This shape. I use let's say some arrows, one arrow in, and one arrow out of this box, like this. And inside here I want to type a mathematical expression. And also you can change the colors, etc. for the different objects. So in this example I just use this one. So inside here I just double click, and then you can type a mathematical formula like this. So this is a basic mathematical formula. Here I have not used the editor, so just let's delete this one, and then I go to Insert, and select the equation, and then I can easily type my mathematical expression or formula. So then y equals to 2x plus 5 or something, and then you see it becomes much better, and then I can just double click on it, make it larger like this, and then I want to have some inputs here, so then I just type insert a text box here. Let's say we have f in and f out or something like this. So now I'm not using a pure mathematical expression, I'm just using a word. So here the f, so f is the flow and I is input, but instead of using like this, why not use this formula editor? So insert equation, I just put it there, and then use this one, and then I can type f like this. So by doing this, it looks so much better, and of course you can change the size, etc. like this, and the same for this one. I just go to insert equation, type, select this one in this case, and f out or something. Then I also easily can change the size of the object like this. So this is how you can make a sketch in PowerPoint, where you include some mathematical formulas or some mathematical expressions like this. Then you can also use these icons. So here you have hundreds of different icons you can use. Let's say I want to have this thumbs up, then I can just click on this one and insert it, and then you have this symbol, and it is by default black, but of course you can easily change the colors like this. So it's quite easy to use PowerPoint to make simple system sketches, where you can use these different shapes that you have part of your PowerPoint, or you can use icons, or you can use and insert equations. And when you have made your sketches or figures in PowerPoint using the shapes, equations or mathematical expressions, etc., you can easily import the sketch as a figure in and use it in your Microsoft Word document. And then you should easily add a figure number, a figure caption, and also of course you should refer and explain the figure as part of your text. So make sure that the figure number and the figure caption is below the figure, and somewhere in the text you should refer to that figure and explain it in the text. So these are for figures, while for tables you do the same. You have a table number and you have a table caption, and you refer to that table as part of your text and explain it. While for figures, the figure number and caption is below the figure, while for tables, the table number and the table caption is above the figure, above the table. So make sure for figures it's below, for tables it is above the table, like this. Let's see how we can do this in Microsoft Word. So let's insert this sketch in your Word document. It can be done in different ways. Typically use a screen capture program. You can use one of those built into Windows. So in Windows there is a program called Snip and Sketch, or a snipping tool. So Snip and Sketch is a new tool that is replacing the snipping tool. So I'll use this Snip and Sketch. So I'll just select this one. And then it's a very simple program. I can just make a new snippet now. So I just select new. And then I just use my mouse in order to make the sketch I want. So like this. And then I release the mouse. And then it will be imported here in the snip and sketch tool. And then you can save it as a file, or you can just copy it. So in this example, I will just copy it, remove this one, and remove PowerPoint, and then open a Word document, just a blank Word document. Then I will start creating my Word document, and make sure that you use these styles. Typically, you need a title, my document, like this, and typically include your name, etc. And then you can insert a page break or something. And then you will start creating your document. So let's say we have some introduction, like this, and then of course go to home and then select header 1 for this. Typically you also want to have some numbering, so I just go to this one, select this numbering. So then I have my introduction chapter is my first chapter. Then I can type some text, and then I can have a sub-chapter, heading 2, like this. Let's call it just background or something, and then a new text. So then this will be my first chapter, and then this will be sub-chapter 1.1. And here I want to include the sketch I made with PowerPoint, so I just click Ctrl V and then copy it in like this. And then I can make it smaller or larger like this. Typically I want to center it like this. And now we can right click on it and select Insert Caption, and then this caption will appear, figure 1.1. So you have this numbering where you want to include the chapter number, and then you just click OK, and then you have figure 1.1, and then you type this figure capture. I just call it my system sketch or something, and then I should refer to that figure as part of my text. So here in, and then I go to references, select cross-reference, select figure, and then my figure pops up here. You can choose to have it as a hyperlink or not. I just remove it, and then select entire caption or only label and number. So I select only label and number, and select my figure from the list, and just click insert. So then I can close this. So in figure 1.1 we see from the system sketch, etc. So this is how you do it in Word. So you insert the sketch that you have made with PowerPoint, and also in PowerPoint you can easily include mathematical expressions, different types of icons, and different types of shapes, like this rectangle, arrows, etc. And then you just right click in order to insert a caption, and then this number will be automatically 1.1 because we are in chapter 1, and this is the first figure in this chapter. And then we type a figure caption like this, and then also we need to make sure that we refer to that figure as part of the text and explain it as part of the text like this. So this is how you create figures and insert and use them in your Microsoft Word document. Let's create a new chapter. Let's go to chapter 2. We can call it methods or something. type some text, and here let's say we want to insert a table. So I go to insert table, just insert this basic table with some rows and columns. So then, as the same way, we wanted to include a figure number and a figure capture. We want to include a table number and a table caption. So I just select my table, go to references and insert caption. Then I will not choose the figure caption, but I will use this built-in table caption instead. So now we have table 1. You can also, as for the figures, include the chapter number like this. So then you will have table 2.1 because it's this first table in chapter number 2. And then the position above or below the selected item. Of course, you should have it above since this is a table. So then you just click OK. And then you can also choose to center it. And then, so this is the table and number. Of course, then you should add a table caption as well. I just call it results overview or something. So now we have made this table, and we have this table number and table caption, and then we should of course refer to that table and explain it in the text. So then you can type something like this in, and then we go to references, cross-reference, select table, and then you see the table as part of this list. And here, entire caption, you select only label and number, and just click insert. So then close. So in table 2.1, we see that our results is according to something or whatever. So then this is how you create tables, table number and table caption, and refer to this table as part of your text and explain it. And you see here for the figure number and text or the caption is below the figure, while for tables the table number and the table caption is above the table like this. So far we have made a figure or a system sketch in PowerPoint, and in that sketch we can include mathematical expressions, different shapes, icons, ordinary text, etc. And then you can insert it into Microsoft Word with a figure number, figure caption, and refer it as part of the text like this. And the same for tables, but then the table number and the caption is above the table, but of course you need to refer to the table as in the same way as you refer to figures as part of the text, and then explain the table and the contents of that table as part of your text. So next, let's see how we can write equations and mathematical expressions in Word. So here in this bad example, I have added a mathematical formula as part of my Word document. But here I have not used the built-in formula editor, and also have some mathematical expressions here as part of the text, where I have not used the proper formula editor that is part of Word. So here, this is a better example. This is how you should do it. Here I have added a mathematical formula as part of my Word document. Using the formula editor, I have created a formula number, and typically the formula number should be on the right side of the document, while the equation should be centered like this. And then in the same way as you refer to figures and tables as part of your text, you should also refer to the equations. So from equation 2.1 we see that etc. And also here I have used some mathematical expressions as part of the text, and in this case I have used the formula editor. So now let's see how we can write mathematical formulas or equations and mathematical expressions in Microsoft Word. So let's just start by creating a new chapter 3. Just call it results or something. Of course we should have some introduction text, and then now I want to create a mathematical formula. So then typically you can just type like this, I equals to 3x or 3x plus 4 or something, and then center it like this. But of course this doesn't look nice, so let's create it as a real equation using the equation editor. So go to insert equation and then type something like this, y equals to 3x plus 4 or something, and then you see this is a real equation using this equation editor in Word. And typically we should have as we have for figures and tables, we should have a equation number. Figures and tables are easy to do that for in Microsoft Word, but for equations the built-in features for including equation numbers and refer to those in the text is not so good. So let's see how we can do it. So typically the equation should be centered and the equation number should be on the right side of the document. So that's not so easy to do in Word, but the trick is like this. You can insert a table with 3 columns and 1 row like this, and then in the middle you just put your equation. So now your equation is centered in the document, and here to the right we should have this equation number. And then we can go to references, insert caption, and then we have a label for figures and tables that we have used, and we have also one for equation. Also here we should include the chapter number, and then typically here we don't want to have the so here typically by default it says equation 3.31, where 3 is the chapter number and 1 is the first equation in that chapter. So we can typically select this one, exclude label and from caption, so then we just have the number left, and then we can click OK. But by default it pops up here. So for figures, since this is a table, it pops up above the table, but we should have it here to the right for this equation. So then we just move it here in this column of the table, and then select this to be right centered here. So it should be on the right side of the document, and this should be in the middle of the document. And then typically for equations we typically want to include some parentheses like this. So this is equation 3.1 in this chapter. And then next we want to refer to that equation as part of the text. So type something like this, from equation, and then we can go to references, select cross-reference, and then for same as for figures, we have a list of figures, and we have a list of tables, and we have a list of equations. And also here only label and number, and then just select our equation, click insert like this, and then. So now from equation 3.1 we see the linear relationship between etc. So we need to have the equation in the middle, the equation number to the right, and then we need to refer to that equation as part of the text like this. And of course now next step is to go to table design and remove the borders from this table. So no borders. So now in that way it looks that this hasn't been created inside a table. So now we have the equation in the center, the equation number to the right, and then we refer to that equation as part of the text. So if you now want to just create a new equation, let's say we have a new chapter here. Discussions, and here we want to include a new equation. We just copy this one, and then if I double click here in the margin and right click, select update field, you see this will be equation number 4.1, and then we can just go here and change the equation like this. So now we have made two different equations in two different chapters, and then of course we need to refer to that new equation as part of the text in equation, and then we go to references, cross-reference, and then you see this new equation pops up in the list here. So just click insert. In equation 4.1 we see etc. So now we have made different equations as part of our Word document. We have made a equation number, and we have referred to those equations as part of the text. We can also make other types of mathematical expressions in our text. So something like this. So let's say we want to have type something like this: f out and t out is variables in our equations, etc. So here are some mathematical expressions, but here I have not used this equation editor. So instead of doing this, I should just remove it and type insert equation, and then use the built-in features here. So f out like this. So then I have used the equation editor here as well, and as you see it looks much better when you use the equation editor. So the same here, t out, I just remove this one and go to insert, select the equation editor, and then select this one, t out like this. So then we have mathematical expressions or variables as part of our text like this. So we can use the formula editor for writing equations with equations number and refer to them as part of the text, or we can use mathematical formulas as part of our text like this. So let's summarize. We have made a document in Word. We have started with a title page, and then we started with some chapters, and then we show how we can include these numbers using the features here. For this is heading 1, this is heading 2, etc. And then we created this sketch using PowerPoint, where we included some mathematical formulas and some mathematical expressions and then we included some icons, etc. And then we included a figure number and a figure caption, and we referred to that figure as part of the text and explained it. And we did the same for tables, but here we need to know that the table number and the table caption should be above the table, while for figures it should be above the figure. And then finally we created some formulas. We created a equation number, and we referred to that equation as part of the text and explained the equation. And then finally we also was able to include some mathematical expressions as part of our ordinary text in Word. So that's all for now.